Exactly.
Nadia and I first met a little bit more than 2 years ago. And Nadia, things weren't really going that well in your career, and they were starting to get the better of things for you. We've worked together actually quite closely for the past 2 years because you continued working in my coaching programs after the initial workshop. And we've gotten to know each other quite well. I think your story is very compelling of what was going on with your career and what wasn't working. And I think it's going to help a lot of folks who are out there basically struggling as professionals and wondering, like, is this what it's supposed to look like? So where were things for you 2 years ago when we first met each other? Tell us a little bit about that background.
Oh boy. Things were very interesting. I was working for a large retailer, and I was a contractor, an IT project manager, running their largest project actually for them.
Yeah.
And I was a superstar.
Mm-hmm.
And it was natural that I was offered a full-time position in the same company running mobile application development for them.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow I got stuck in this transition from one job into the next, from contractor to full-time. And I ended up working about 60 hours a week, if not more, working both jobs at the same time and not being able to push back and say, this is insane. My IT project was going through deployment, and I had to work overnight shifts for software deployment, because when you deploy in retail, you have to do it at night when there's no customers shopping in the stores. So I worked 6 overnight shifts within a span of like 3 or 4 weeks. I actually spent 3 nights in stores deploying, servers and working with my team there. And I just got physically sick. It was unsustainable. It was insane. I didn't see my kids. It was crazy. I ended up literally in a hospital. I had a ugly nervous breakdown, and I had to drive myself to emergency room. I got actually admitted to the hospital, and they kept me overnight. It was rough. Yeah. And then a very nice doctor, talked to me, interviewed me, what's going on, how can we help you? And then when he heard my story, he said, honey, you do not need any medication. You need to change your lifestyle. And that was my wake-up call. Yeah. And we actually, together, we crafted a letter to my HR that Nadia Clifford has a health issue, and she cannot work. She cannot work outside of 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. So I needed that external tool in order to push back on my leadership, to work within reasonable hours. And so when and another thing that happened to me at the hospital is that I talked to chaplain there. And, it was a group of people, and everybody was sharing their spiritual experiences, which is kind of odd for me. I wasn't spiritual at all.
Yeah.
And so when my turn came, I said, fairly proudly, well, I'm an atheist. I have a degree in engineering. I'm an atheist. I'm not spiritual. And then the chaplain, he looked at me with so much love and compassion. And he said, oh, this must be so hard to always rely just on yourself. And I just started crying again because, yes, I'm always relying on myself, and it is damn hard.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
The body was saying to you, we give up. We have done everything that we can. And you were in your late 30s at this point. It's not like my age. Yeah, you were, by all intents and purposes, at the prime of your life, and just things took a toll. Now, as you and I have gotten to know each other and worked together, there was an underlying thought pattern or feeling pattern going on that was maybe causing some of the extra work and the extra struggle. You want to elaborate just a little bit on kind of what you found out as we started to work together, and then we'll elaborate maybe just a little bit more.
Yeah, it was, it took me a little while to figure out what was happening, but I realized that I didn't like myself. I didn't trust myself. I didn't think I was enough. And I have this habit, which started with your workshop, Ma, of writing ideas that I want to incorporate into my life on sticky notes and posting them on my bathroom mirror. And my first sticky note in the workshop was, I am enough. And I put it on the mirror and I looked at it every day. And in the beginning, every time I looked, I felt horrible. Like,
Oh, yeah.
how can I not be enough? Why do I not feel that I'm enough? And another sticky that I wrote that was kind of the next step. I love you. You're awesome. I want to spend time with you. And that was a note to myself.
Yes.
I'm actually worth spending time with.
Yes.
It was it was amazing to uncover, how can I love other people? How can I be with other people in a positive way when I can't even love myself, when I'm not enough for myself?
Yeah.
And actually, that was right around my 40th birthday, and you might remember that I gave myself a present, a trip to Costa Rica all by myself, first time in my life, and that was my I am enough trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah. And prior to that, I think that was maybe about the 9th or 10th week in the workshop when we were working together the first.
Yeah, I was nearing the end, probably.
Yeah. And you had collected all the pieces of the workshop and put your resume and LinkedIn and gotten things going and were interviewing for roles, but we had decided that there was an income number that you just, in order for you to leave your current role, there was a certain value that you wanted to get in the marketplace in order to leave. So talk about that journey, the first couple of rounds.
Yeah, so I did my homework. I think it's module 2, right? And I described exactly what kind of job I wanted to have. I wanted to be in Agile. I wanted to be in technology and some sort of a management role. And I was finding these awesome jobs, for high-tech companies, and they all loved me. And I had really good interviews. And I actually turned down 3 different technology companies when they went after me, because they would not pay as much as I wanted to be paid, as much as they thought I was worth. And it was really, really scary. I had never turned down a potential employer before, because, I was always sort of in this beggar's attitude, that I was begging for a job. And here I was, scared, but standing in my power that I can do better than this. And I don't have to grab the first thing that comes along, or the second, or the third.
If they keep being the same thing, I mean, come on. So I know in the work that we have done, and basically the work I've done with over 500 women over the years, there are those scary moments where your coach is saying to you, I really think you can do better, and if you keep honing this down and honing this, you wanted to get out of your current place, though, because it was not working out as far as all the health concerns and the structure, and the demands were just not what you were willing to live with anymore. That's a little bit of a push and pull. I want to get out of my current thing. I'll take anything, which is a lot of what people typically do. That's not my advice, and not what I do with my clients. I wanted to make sure you landed at a spot that was fitting your soul, which we got into, and your talents and the marketplace that was going to be a big enough move career-wise. And as you know, I mean, if you absolutely needed a job, there may have been a different strategy or a different decision making, but we were pretty focused on making sure that you got that thing that was going to be the right move for you. So you went off to Costa Rica for your 40th birthday, came back, and what happened?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I meditated a lot in Costa Rica. And one of my meditations was, I love my job. I love my boss. I love my company. And it was more, not specific, but, kind of trying to attract this feeling that I love my job. I love my boss.
Yeah.
And when I came back, it was out of the blue, as it always happens.
Yes.
This awesome company reached out to me with a job that was exactly what I wanted, exactly as I described in my module 2. Basically used the same words.
Right.
Yeah, and I started interviewing. I loved everybody who interviewed me. Awesome team. They loved me, and Yumo coached me through the negotiations. Those were very scary. I had never really negotiated salary before. I had always taken whatever was given. I tried negotiating once, and it didn't really work out. I maybe got just a small bump, not what I wanted.
Yeah.
But you really coached me how to negotiate coming from, from my power and not coming from my neediness or something like that. Like showing what I bring to the table, rather than, well, I'm a single mother of 3, I really need this increase. That doesn't work.
Please help me. Right.
Yeah, please. No. Yeah. So I got the number that I had actually put on my vision board back in like a few months before, when we were doing vision boards in the workshop.
Yes.
I put that number on my vision board, and that was exactly what was in the offer letter.
Yeah.
It was like a miracle.
A miracle.
And that was a stretch number too.
Yes. Yeah. And as you now know, being a veteran of this work, of my work in particular, but as you know, those are universal principles that we work with. Getting your feeling state and your vision and your talents all lined up, it does appear that we're creating miracles, but what we're doing is actually just lining up the energy of everything in synchronization, and that has incredible power. Incredible power.
It does.
You landed in that job. Things were going great.
Things were awesome. Yeah, until about 6 or 7 months into it. And that was actually around New Year's, and we were planning, again, in the workshop, we were planning, 2018 goals. And I said, well, I want to be in the next level. I want to make more money. Yeah. How the heck do I get there?
Yeah.
I was not clear. And then 2 weeks later, big org changes in the job, people getting laid off, unsteadiness. And so that was actually kind of a sign for me. That was a shakeup that pushed me to rethink what I was doing. And I stuck out at this job for a few more months.
Yeah. You were playing in the soup of what they were trying to pull together. I mean, you were being a professional and contributing.
Yeah, I was trying to see where this goes and if there's a place for me there, because at some point my thoughts were, well, if a reorg works out in a certain way, that it could actually, give me a career boost.
Mm-hmm.
And it probably at some point, maybe it was going to, but I saw the organization changing so much, not in the direction that I liked and that I wanted to work with. So actually, it was at your retreat, Mo, in May, that I realized I was playing too small.
Mm-hmm.
That was my second retreat, and both were amazing. and those few days at the retreat, really thinking through my values, my goals, of whatever is holding me back, and what do I need to move forward. I realized I'm playing too small. I need to play much bigger.
Yeah.
And then you helped coach me, onto my next move. And that was even scarier than the first move. It was even more money.
Right.
Yeah.
like, oh man, am I really going to go for this? The thing that's interesting in working with professional women for so many years, and my own experience as well, there are certain constraints that we put around our thoughts about who we are and what our identity is, and what those next levels of income and title mean.
Mm-hmm.
Most people I have worked with who are not at higher level titles always put a meaning of greater work, less time with the family, more demands, higher levels of stress. And so they immediately intellectually shut down that type of role because I don't want to do that. And this is a problem with women in the workplace because mostly women are the primary caregiver of their kids, or at least the home life. And so trading off more money, higher position for what would seem like taking away from the family seems like a root values conflict. Now, I've always had the experience that the higher up I went, the more autonomy I had with my time. And in surveying many other top level executive women, they agree with me. What's your experience now playing at a higher level?
Yeah, and I was exactly where you were describing, 2 years ago. I thought that I had to work really, really hard, work my tail off, and really hope somebody notices and promotes me. And it does not work that way. You can't get a promotion by working hard and hoping somebody notices.
Right.
So yeah, right now I'm in a very different space. I definitely do not work insane 60-hour weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I work regular hours. I absolutely love my job.
Mm-hmm.
And I am so much more relaxed and confident, and I trust myself. I trust my intuition.
Yes.
And I have more energy for my kids, my house, my hobbies.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just a very different life with much more flow and much more ease. And yeah, I do have a lot of autonomy, which I recognize it can be scary because then you have to figure out what you're doing in your job.
You're like in charge of yourself.
Yeah, you're in charge of yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not necessarily somebody telling you what to do every step of the way.
Right.
But I actually love it because I have so much more confidence in me and in knowing that I will do the right thing and I will figure out whatever needs to be figured out. So it's I always thought that I wanted to be an executive at some point, always, but I always thought that would come with a cost.
Right.
Of really hard work and no balance, and I was at some point not sure I was able to do that sacrifice. But turns out you don't need to sacrifice anything.
No, it's what prevents a lot of women from really getting there, because there's a lot of women who aspire to it but think it's out of touch for them because of what you just described, the family, and also just wanting to have a life. It seems like it's going to cost more in who we are and what we want in our life to go to that level. Now, there are plenty of executives who do it that way.
Yes, and I see them in work.
Yeah, there are people who do it that way. When you're aligned with your soul and when you truly know that you are enough and you don't have to shoot extra work over top of feeling not good or not enough, you don't function that way.
No.
So when you get yourself right from the inside, when we were talking a little bit before the interview, that I Am Enough post-it that was 2 years ago. How far is Nadia from that post-it from 2 years ago?
Oh, miles, thousands of miles. I am definitely more than enough now. I definitely value myself and I trust myself.
Yes.
And actually the daily exercises that you prescribe to everybody, gratitudes and brags, those definitely helped shape that inner power and inner strength.
Yes.
I'm actually awesome. I do cool stuff every day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. And I know that you were inspired about a year ago to do some of the work that you're doing right now. And you're like, oh, if I could just get a job where I could just be like coaching others or managing teams and moving them into uh, transformative ways of looking at their technology and that sort of thing. That would be just great.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
how to get there, Mo, and I don't know if that's possible. Is it possible? Can I really do that? And then so our I don't know, last 6-8 months of working together has included crafting an identity that you have allowed yourself to step into, being that knowledgeable, being that
Yeah.
influential, having that level of impact. And you work at large financial institutions.
Yep.
So you're not just in an IT world.
Right.
What you're moving forward and advancing and what you're having an influence over impacts the company.
Yeah. Uh, I actually, you probably remember, went through that another soul searching experience as to where I wanted to be in my job. I thought, well, maybe I want to be director of engineering and I want to be techie. But in the end, all that coaching, it helped me determine that what my real values are and where I want to be, that I wanted to um, influence cultural changes and organizational changes and see teams and organizations move into a more positive space, into high performing space where you can't get if you don't have like psychological safety and
Right.
positive energy in the workplace.
Right.
And I realized that was much more important to me than just in pure technology and pure engineering. And this is where I'm now, and this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Shifting organizational culture and organizational identity.
Yeah. That's
Just like I shifted mine.
I was gonna say that because it does seem like the macro versus the micro of your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So when you're able to have a level of inner confidence and happiness, and I mean, when I say the word confidence, it doesn't seem like that word holds enough weight with what we're talking about here. It's beyond confidence, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like power or
Yeah. And women aren't
strength.
comfortable with that word, but it is a certain inner power that allows you then to move in an organization and opine and suggest and make the impact that you've always wanted to make, but maybe you were afraid you didn't belong there. What were some of the things that really helped bring all of that together for you, from your own perspective, to be able to say, I not just I am enough, but I am capable of this, and I am.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of kind of small shifts and really pointing them out to myself as I was growing. And those daily brags really help to see those shifts, those things that I have achieved, and the impact I had on the organization where I was working. And actually even feedback that I received from my coworkers, how I was impacting the organization in a very positive way. Like my performance review said something like, we have strong personalities and Nadia brings them all together in a very calm and balanced fashion, or something like that.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah, I can do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now I am actually reaching the next level where I am getting to the point of executive coaching, where I need to coach leaders that are senior to me, more senior to me. And it is intimidating, and it's kind of my next leap, but I'm getting there. And actually yesterday I had a one-on-one with one of the leaders in the organization, and he asked me to coach him on team dynamics for his team. And inside I was like, yes.
What's an engineering introvert doing in a place like this, Nadia?
Yeah. And actually that's part of my strength, that I am quiet and I listen, but I'm very open-minded, and I wait for an opening to be invited, and I don't kind of barge in and tell people what to do. And I am okay with being quiet and being somewhat introverted to a certain extent. Before it bothered me, I thought that if you're a leader, you had to be loud and obnoxious.
Right.
And now I own my style of leadership.
Yes.
Um, that I'm, I kind of seem soft. I'm not, but my approach is soft and gentle and kind of balanced. But I do influence people. And I see the results, and it's actually very rewarding to see the results when people come to me and ask me to coach them and help them.
Yeah, that's wonderful. A long way in a short 2 years.
A huge, yeah. I went from a busy bee, a doer, to really a leader, and a very intuitive and soulful leader.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Even for an atheist. I mean, who knew?
Right.
Find your soul and shine it up and be able to really make a big impact and a huge increase in income.
A huge increase. Yeah.
Which it really, it's, it's nice for your pocketbook and bank account, but you have a family and responsibilities. You're also able to enjoy life and be with them differently. How has this affected your life as a mother?
Well, yeah, actually, I am being different with my children now that I have changed myself, and I think I am being a really good example for them on how to be, balanced and centered, and how to stand in my power. And they saw me going through these job searches, and I talked to them about negotiating because I wanted them to know that you need to ask for what you're worth.
Yeah.
You need to be in your power. And I think they're learning from me. And I'm also much more, I'm less controlling with them. I trust them more. Like my oldest son, as you know, decided to enlist in the Navy. And, that was a shock to me. But a few years ago, I would have been devastated that he's not going to college and, oh my God. But now I know this is the best for him. Yeah. And I was able to be there for him, to support him while he was doing his research and figuring it all out. Mm-hmm. And I'm definitely a different parent. I'm much more supportive and empowering parent rather than the micromanaging, controlling helicopter parent.
It's, I mean, ultimately it's what our kids need, isn't it? To have a mother or a parent who is supportive, a bit measured in maybe what we're going to support them on. Obviously, their decisions wouldn't just be willy-nilly, but you're able to actually be present and to be with them as they're thinking through things and working through things. And that matters so much to kids, doesn't it? To have that level of being visible.
Absolutely.
To their parents. Yeah.
I think that strengthened my relationship with the kids and deepened it because I'm able to be with them in an open-minded way and kind of support them so they can come to me with their problems or their decisions they're trying to make, and they know that I'm not going to judge, that I'm going to talk them through this. And so hopefully this will continue that way.
Yeah. So many of the things that we work with in the workshop do translate into tools and techniques that you can use as a parent and as well, specifically the gratitude and helping kids have a healthy dose of how to celebrate and brag about their accomplishments and allow them to be comfortable with that. Because ultimately that is what confidence is built around. It's built around us being comfortable, being awesome and good, and being comfortable asking for what we need in order to be better and not to be shriveled up or shrunk down if we're not achieving what we want to achieve. Because ultimately there will be things that force us to kind of step up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and actually I'm teaching my 12-year-old daughter, who's my youngest, to do her gratitudes and brags. every day. I think it's especially critical for girls who tend to be, harder on themselves in general.
Yes, indeed, especially at that as those ages start moving more into that young woman and all the pressures of of any both young men and young women in who they are as they get into their sexual maturity and all that stuff. Things get pretty dicey for a
Yeah.
while. So that's awesome. What would you say you honored yourself with, or allowed yourself to be in order to make this tremendously wonderful growth for yourself? What did you have to really say, either I'm worth it, or my life's worth it, or what did you have to claim for yourself?
Well, my mantra has been for the last 2 years, everything always works out for me. So before I was such a fatalist before, oh my God, I'm gonna get cancer, I'm gonna get sick, and I'm gonna lose all my money, and I'm gonna lose my kids, and it was
Yeah.
like the sky is falling attitude all the time. But then, I allowed myself to be confident that things will work out and everything will be all right, and I will be okay, and my kids will be okay, and everything will be more than okay.
Yeah.
And just have this belief that it will all be good. Because before, for some reason, I thought if I wouldn't worry about the future, then bad things would happen. But
Right.
actually, worrying about these bad things, it's not going to prevent them
Right.
from happening. But kind of being balanced and calm, and being able to be bigger than your problems,
Yeah.
right? That's what will carry you through.
Yeah.
um,
Indeed.
and and I feel like I have so much more inner strength now, or rather I probably found my inner strength that kind of gone missing in action at some point.
Right.
That I know I'll be able to deal with whatever comes my way.
Mm, mm.
And hard things will happen, and it's always ups and downs, but it's just a matter of how you deal with them.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Being bigger than your problems does certainly sound like thousands of miles away from I am enough, which is
Oh, yeah.
kind of the affirmation we have to say in survival mode. It's like, as we're getting every breath in as we possibly can, I am enough. And now
Yeah.
I'm bigger than my problems. And really what you're saying about that is I'm bigger than any problem that can come my way.
Yes, absolutely. I
Mhm.
am much bigger than any problems that will come my way.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And clearly you're being seen in your current role as someone to seek for answers and advice and making the influence and impact. How great is that to live like that?
It's very rewarding.
Mm.
Yeah, and at times, of course, it's a little scary. I'm still new to this,
Mhm.
but sometimes I feel like, why would people listen to me? But then they do, and they come and ask for more coaching. So it
Right.
just reinforces.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah,
Well, I think we have our work cut out for us, Nadia, because now there's the next level. So we're
yeah, I'm
gonna
not stopping.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, I'm delighted to see you smile, to be really in your fullness of who you are and your impact in the world, and to have been at the front seat of watching your journey. It's really been a marvelous, marvelous journey. What would you say to women who are suffering and struggling in their jobs and feeling afraid that there might not be anything more for them? What would you advise them?
I would advise them to reach out for help,
Mm.
because when you're suffering and you're stuck, it is very difficult to dig yourself out by yourself. I think it's really worth reaching out for help and investing in yourself. I keep investing in myself still, even after the workshop. I'm doing ongoing coaching and personal development, and that you're worth it.
Right.
You're worth the investment.
Yes, indeed. And when you claim that you're worth it, that's the beginning of the ripple effect into the world, that you're worth more out there too. You're not
Exactly.
only just worth more within, but out there as well. I'm so delighted that you shared your story today and just were so generous in what you learned along the way, and how amazing your journey has been, because you kept choosing, I want a little bit more of this. I want a little bit more of this, and allowed yourself to really expand into what is now a gorgeously brilliant career. And it's obviously agreeing with you completely. And yes, of course, as we say, the better it gets, the better it gets, because
Absolutely.
you are emanating that. Thank you so much for joining me on this special client interview, Motivational Monday. And you, Nadia, are super, super kick-ass. Congratulations on all of that you have come through and transformed to.
And thank you very much for all your support and coaching, Mo, both you and other fellow coaches. It's been an amazing experience, and I wouldn't be here without you all.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank
Folks,
you.
if you want to have a little bit of a dose of what Nadia had, it's mofall.com/strategy. And we can get right ahead and start talking about what's going on with your career, what may not be working, and yet more importantly, where you want to go. We'd be happy to take care of you. Nadia, thanks again. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.